Okay, let's try this again. Datingwhileadulting.com. And the reason I say let's try this again is because me and Reggie started the podcast and I realized that I was not recording this. So Reggie went on this rant and we missed it all. Sorry about that. But hey, Reggie.
Hey, Michael.
Okay. I'm going to go into the details of the stuff that I usually do in the intro by talking about datingwhileadulting.com. Now, what you can do, because just the other day, actually it was a few weeks ago, I'm sorry, someone asked how they could comment on one of our podcast topics. And I told her that she could email us, and she was like, nah, I want to speak to something that you all spoke about in one of the podcasts. So now you can do that because now, as of a couple of weeks ago, the YouTube videos have been put up on datingwhileadulting.com. So now what you can do, if you do want to comment on a specific episode, you can go to datingwhileadulting.com and comment there on the specific episode that you can see on YouTube, or you can go to the YouTube channel and watch it and comment there. So now you can comment on individual episodes, and you can still send us emails at podcasts at datingwhileadulting.com. Datingwhileadulting.com is where you can find everything, the Twitter and all of that stuff. Subscribe, like, do whatever you do. And yeah, I'm done with that. And
Oh,
since
speaking of which, I actually got my first subscription notice that you uploaded a new podcast on which platform was it? Apple.
oh, 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 that's cool. It's weird that you're just getting it now, considering we're like 10 to 15 in the hole. But
Man, hey,
hey,
you big
better,
brother, come on now.
yeah, yeah, right. Last thing I'm gonna do is complain about something like that. But before we get into the topic and everything like that, started off by, well, when we got cut off the last time, well, because I didn't start recording, Reggie was saying that he was butthurt, and I was asking Reggie why he was butthurt and if he was going to get into the details because he was on one of his anti-female rants. So Reggie, you want to talk about what made you butthurt? What hurt your butt?
Try to clean this up.
Oh, why?
They breathe. They
Damn.
breathe. They just fucking breathe.
Okay, so that means that you don't want to get into the details.
Oh no, no. I mean but that's what makes me butthurt. They breathe. Just why you yeah.
Okay, but they've been breathing for all of the other episodes that we've been on, and your butt didn't seem to hurt as much. So it seems like something happened more recently that kind of hurt your butt.
What's the song? I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
Okay,
All obstacles in my way. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, I see all the obstacles.
okay.
At first, no more sunny side up. I'm more like you now. I'm more
Oh,
pessimistic about
whoa,
life.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I am pessimistic about relationships um in my desire to get married, but I am not putting all of that on women though. I have to acknowledge my part in that. And part of it is not necessarily wanting to settle. So I'm not going to say it's because all women are evil and stuff like
I
that.
never said they all evil.
Whoa, you said that you're starting to see like me, and I'm like, nah, I'm not going down that road with you.
Well, no. Well, if I start to see like you, that means that the value of what a relationship is when it comes to male-female interactions outside of just sex now seems to be meaningless to me because apparently they don't know what the hell they really want. And it changes from hour to hour, day to day. And that's, the inconsistency has gotten a little bit on my nerves now.
Says the
A
married
lot.
man. But
Says,
um, okay, that is interesting. I don't. Yeah, I still push back a little bit on putting it all on them, but
I'm not putting them on. Well, I'm butthurt. I'm in my emotions. So some of it has to be me then, right?
I do respect the
That's
fact.
just,
I do respect the fact though that you are copping to the fact that yeah, your heart's been crushed in a million pieces or something like that. So I appreciate that.
no problem.
Okay,
That's what I'm here for.
yeah, cool. So here's what I want to talk about. All of that was just so awkward. I just didn't know where to go with that. Um, but here's this is what's going to lead to our topic today. And I don't know if anybody out there watches the reality show called Ready to Love. It comes on Oprah Winfrey's network. I think I referenced it once. I know Reggie doesn't watch it because Reggie doesn't watch television. But basically, it's a bunch of couples. They don't match them up. They just take singles and put them in an environment and just say, hey, mix and mingle, date, and then see who you vibing with, see who you can get along with. And what makes it into more of a reality show is they start voting people off. Like
Like
one,
Survivor?
it, kind of sort of, but they vote off like one female, one male a week. So it's like, for example, if there are like 12 men, 12 women, and there's just one dude on the outside, and all the women see him as awkward and weird. It's like, who can you not see yourself with? And they all say him, and he's out. And the same thing with
Oh,
the men doing the women. It's like, which one of these women is like not for you? And they all like, no, we pretty much can see that none of us want this chick.
do they
Uh,
go into details of why?
yeah,
The
they
women,
do.
particular.
They do. And what makes it even more interesting is that they make one of the guys have to tell that woman, and vice versa. One of the women tell the man, you're not here for love, and tell them, yo, this is the problem that we had with you. Um,
Oh, that's respectable,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
And for example, one thing that was really interesting was there was this one guy, and instead of like dating around to see which one of these women he vibed with, he met one, he liked her, and instantly kind of latched on to her, and she kind of latched on to him. And so he wasn't even giving any of the other women a shot.
Okay.
So they had an episode where they brought the friends and family along of the women to meet the men. And over the course of that meeting, he said something that really turned her off. It had something to do with splitting the finances and stuff like that. And that's something that we can go into on this show. It's going to be part of this. And
Okay.
he was talking about, nah, I want to split everything 50-50. And she was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And she was turned off from him from that point. And because he hadn't established any other connections with any of the other women, when it came to vote someone off, she was like, well, I don't want him anymore. And the other women were like, shoot, he wasn't giving us a
You
shot.
don't
So
want
shoot,
them.
boom, he out. And
Okay.
it's the same thing on the other side with men and women. So the reason I'm talking about this show is because one thing that came up in the episode, and I'm sorry I'm weeks behind because I never watch things on time. And I was having a conversation with one of my female friends about this. There was this one guy. He was suffering from PTSD. He was in the military and he went to Iraq, Afghanistan, one of those places with a lot of sand, and he was messed up as a result of it. And he talked about how he still struggled with that. And this was one of the first conversations that he'd had with this particular woman. And so she was like, being really nice about it, um, giving him advice, talking about therapy and things like that. And they were playing this game, and it was a card game. And he picked up one of the cards, and the card said, what is one thing that you would be afraid of if the other person knew about you, or something like that? And he said, I'd be afraid that if you knew the real me, that it would scare you. Now, this is like their
Hold
first.
up, hold up, hold up,
Yeah.
hold up. Before we get really deep in that one, because that's intriguing to me. And it also leads to a little bit of why I'm butthurt. Um, isn't the reason, I think I asked you this when we were talking about dating, the purpose of dating and getting relationships in the first place. Isn't the reason why you get into committed relationships is to have someone know the real you?
Well, and yes, and that was the thing. That's when you get into committed relationships, you get to know the real them. But the debate that me and my female friend we were having, she was like, "Oh, that's sweet. He's opening up. He's vulnerable." And my response to her was, "Yeah, it's sweet, but that's the first or second conversation that they've ever had. All while you see it as sweet, all I see is a woman who will never let this dude have sex with her. She will never sleep with this dude because of the things that he shared prematurely." And that led to a conversation that we're going to talk about today, which is, at what point do you feel comfortable sharing, or should you share certain things. It's like, should you share on a first date? Should you share every single thing about you? And the example that I use when we were doing a little pre-show thing was, if I got a 300 credit score, is that something I should tell a woman on the first date?
No,
Okay. If I have PTSD from Afghanistan, is that something I should tell her on the first date?
no,
Okay. So then the question would be, when do you tell someone these things? Because there's one side of it, like my homegirl, who was like, yo, you should tell everything up front. And I'm like, nah, you should try to hold certain things back.
because my thing is this. Because reason I interrupt you in the relationship thing, um, I admire his honesty, his vulnerability also.
Hmm.
But the PSTD thing, we'll discuss that after this one because I'm still, if you pick a card and your answer is, and I quote, I'm scared to show someone the real me, I'm walking away.
Yeah. Well, I'll take it a step
It's just,
further.
I mean, and I'm glad you actually said that to me from the get go before I wasted my time trying to get to understand and know the real you when there's a hardcore self defense mechanism because of your fear, and people do stupid stuff when they're scared. Wasting my time trying to get to know the real you, and you fighting against me on that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that he said that up front and from the very first date. That's the reason I said I brought that one up. Now the PST, the post syndrome.
PTSD.
There we go. That one, you need to. I think you need a little bit more context for on that because you don't even know if you have a connection yet or anything. She might actually be someone who's actually able to, going back to the twin flame and stuff like that, um understand that type of stress, that type of trauma, to actually be able to help you get over it. But at the same time, going back to the original fear thing, if you say that from the get-go, man, that's a that's a lot of process to do on the first date that you probably haven't even kissed yet.
And I've had this conversation with several men and women, and the answers kind of vary because there are some people that say, I want to know everything about somebody as soon as possible, and there are other people that say, well, in my camp, which is, I feel like you need to build up goodwill. It's like you need to like build up enough positive so that when you find out something negative, you have positive stuff to balance that out with, as opposed to, if that's the first thing that you hear or one of the first conversations that you have, that's the first big thing that you hear. There's nothing positive to balance that out with. So all that you know is that this dude suffers from PTSD. So I
No,
don't even know
agree.
the good part of it.
No, no, I agree. I agree with that. That's why I'm kind of hedging on both sides. That's why I keep bringing the other one up. That the trauma thing, you have to build up some goodwill. You had to build up connection. You had to build up something that's like, okay, yeah, that's kind of scary, but at the same time, I've seen other parts of you that's good that can balance that out. Going back to, and this is like I said, this is the reason actually you already hit on the reason why I'm butthurt. That other one that you are scared to show me who you are thing, and I'm constantly falling in love with an image that isn't necessarily you. That I'm having hard times with that. I have a
Well,
very hard time. I'm wasting my life with it. Yeah, committing and sacrificing for images
well,
that's not true.
well, I guess that goes to another thing. There was another show, and I watched too many of these shows, Married at First Sight, where one of the couples,
Apparently
um,
so.
I know, right? Shoot, I didn't even think about it until we started recording this stuff. But this dude, he was matched up with a woman that got married, and he told her, like, while they were on the honeymoon, and Married at First Sight is literally what it sounds like for people that don't watch. This panel of experts, they match you up with someone that you're supposedly compatible with, and the first time you see them is at the altar. You get married, and then They send you through your honeymoon. You get to know them through that process. You move in together, and when you struggle, the experts are there to kind of guide you through and help you out, try to keep things on the tracks. So they got married 3 days after their marriage. They're on their honeymoon, and he tells her, "Yo, I just want you to know, since we're married, that I suffer from depression, and I take medication to regulate it. And so I just want you to know. So if you see me walking around and my moods are just messed up, I'm just in a bad mood, or I'm just sad or something like that. I don't want you to be troubled or something like that. I'm just letting you know." So that's the case to your point about somebody showing them telling them or letting them know who they are.
Hmm.
But that's a lot for a person to process if they just know you for 3 days in the game. It's like, man,
I mean, no, that's true. That's true. But at the same time, as I define love in my value system, stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna sit there and say you should share everything because I just think that's just stupid and suicide. But at the same time, you should show enough of yourself, be vulnerable enough with yourself, your core self, so the other person knows who you are and how to love you. As they say, mystery is the key to a spicy relationship all the time. So keep some stuff in your back pocket. Not the fact that you probably killed 3 children in the backyard or some stuff like that, like Anakin Skywalker and stuff. But you know, they don't have to know that you did all these crazy things in college unless it's innocent and stuff like that. Just keep some things in your back pocket. But for who you really are, who your core is, what things actually trigger you, what things make you excited, stuff like that, you need to share. You need to have that. You need to give, if you're going to be in a relationship, in my opinion, you need to be willing and able to allow that person to love the genuine, authentic you. And I know women say that all the time, but that's bullshit. And don't get me started again
it's butt hurt,
because I
Reggie.
would rant.
It's butt hurt,
But
Reggie.
yeah, today is the episode for Butt Hurt Reggie.
Going back to what you said, it's like I think there are two categories. It's like things that happen, like you mentioned in college and stuff like that. I don't even know if those are things that need to be shared if they don't necessarily affect the relationship. If you participated in an orgy, or if
Is
you're a
someone
woman,
breaking through your house or something? Quieter.
nah, there are people like moving in next door. I You can hear that.
Oh.
Oh,
No, I
anyway.
keep seeing you look at
Yeah,
the
yeah. I'm sorry for people watching this. There are people moving in. I'm more sorry for people that are listening and can't see this. But yeah, there are people moving in next door, and they keep walking by the window, and I'm distracted by them. But that's neither here
Yeah,
nor there.
go go.
But it's
Gonna
like if
grab
you,
your gun. Gonna grab your gun.
nah, I'm good, especially in the daytime. But it's like if you participated in like an orgy or something like that, and you were a swinger back in your college days, that has nothing to do with your current relationship or marriage. If you're a woman, you had a train ran on you by 10 dudes, that's got nothing to do with your marriage and stuff like that. So
See, I disagree with that unless, of course, you don't have self-esteem issues with that. And I still trying to find that woman who don't have self-esteem issues with something like sexual or whatever.
that's butt hurt, Reggie.
Now, if you have a clean self-esteem, you ran it, you realize, yeah, I'll just be in crazy college days, blah blah blah, and you're not taking a hit thinking that you're a slut walking and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. But come on, there's always residue. They
I'm just
always have residue.
I'm just saying though, what would be the occasion for somebody to say, "Hey, I had a train ran on me by 10 dudes." It's like, what? Why would that ever come up? That's my whole thing, and I don't think that
I mean,
anybody should
no,
feel
you wouldn't.
compelled to like divulge that information. Like, "Ooh, this is a deep dark secret." It's just like, okay, you, it is what it is.
No, but you sat there and said they should not divulge any information if it doesn't affect the relationship. And my thing is, more than likely, something like that is going to affect the relationship, unless, of course, she understands that it shouldn't affect the relationship.
No,
And more than likely,
I think it'll affect the
go ahead.
relationship if she's dating an insecure dude. Um, who when
Well, I
he
ain't talking about. I'm
my
not even getting to
goodness.
the guy part.
But yeah, that's
I'm not even getting to the guy
that's the
part
only
yet. I'm
part
talking
of it.
about her.
It's to me, it's just similar to a dude saying, yeah, yeah, when I was in college, I was a hoe. It's like, what is the purpose of sharing that with your wife? It's like, unless you're
Well,
trying to brag
well,
to it,
okay.
it's like, I'm sure
No,
she does.
I think we're talking over each other. My thing is this: if I was a whore in college, and no Norfolk State people need to chime in on this. If I was a whore in college, but it's still affecting my self esteem, my self worth, how I see myself, that needs to be addressed. Now, whether I say, yo, I used to be a whore and none of that's, but I need to address that self-esteem issue that's going on because of that particular action. But if you were a whore and you have no problems with it whatsoever about self-esteem, self-image, self-worth, self-love, whatever word we're gonna throw out there today to put self in, yeah, to each. No one needs to say no need to know nothing about anything. But more than likely, that's not how some people were.
Yeah, and
That's the only thing I'm saying.
I'm not even looking at it from that perspective. I didn't even think about like where self-esteem plays into it. I'm just thinking if you had a good time doing something back in the day, does that have an impact on your marriage or whatever? And I say, no, you had a good time. You were a kid. You did kid stuff or even adult stuff. It was fun. It's over. Now you're committed to this dude or
No,
this woman. And shoot, hey, there's no purpose in
yeah.
bringing that up. But
No, I
if
get that, but what I'm saying is, I'm getting to the psychological part. But if it did have something, if you do have issues with it, but you're not addressing it, it's going to affect the relationship.
okay,
Now,
okay,
granted, you should fix it. You should fix it, or whoever whoever that should be. Now, whether you want to tell your spouse or not, that's me and you could. I agree with you on that part. They don't necessarily need to know that the reason why you have self-esteem and low body image issues and blah blah blah, and you're not as intimate in bed because you got a train ran in you back in the college. They may not need to know the reason, but they at least need to know that there's something's wrong. There's something in my past that's is affecting the intimacy that I have with you that I need to have addressed.
right. And that goes back to what how I started this thing by saying if it doesn't affect the relationship. And so with what you're describing, it would affect the relationship. What I was describing wouldn't. And so that's the difference. If it doesn't affect the relationship, then I don't feel any need to share it. And to your point, I will tell a personal story. I have on more than one occasion by more than one woman, I've been told,
I run a train.
no, no, but even more
said
serious,
you said you set up. Oh, okay, my bad.
hey, but no, more than one woman has told me that they do. Oh, yeah, you don't know what I'm going to say. So yeah,
I don't know what you're gonna
I'm
say.
like I'm like giving you grief, like you're reacting to something that I've said, and I ain't even say it yet. So yeah, that's on. But no, I've had more than one woman tell me that they've been raped before. And it's like in woman, this was like on first conversations with them. And I'm like, what in the hell am I supposed to do with that? It's like, while that is something to your point, there's some kind of psychological thing there still, probably, most likely. So that would need to be divulged. With that
But not
said,
on the first date.
right,
Not on the
the
first
point,
date. Yeah,
the
I
point of
had to agree with
stopping.
you on that one. Not on the first date.
Yeah. So then that leads to the question as two questions, which I don't know if that can be answered by us or any person. It's an individual thing. Where is that line? What are the things that you would want to know in the beginning, as opposed to being held to a later date? And then when is that later date? When is that time when it's like, okay, she should share that she's been raped, or he should share that he's got 300 credit score and he's $28,000 in debt because
The mouth is coming after him.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, and at if they do tell you that story at a certain point, is it like, why didn't you tell me sooner? It's like, so do you like if a woman has a 300 credit score and she's $200,000 in debt, like someone I actually know, um, would you want to know that in the first date?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
I guess.
No, the other people on the
Uh,
line. My neighbor's moving in.
yeah, I know. Call her, please. Call her
Hey,
too. Um, Actually, yes, I do.
you want to know that? You want to know that
I
on
do
the
now. I do now. I need to know that on the first date. Going back to my, the original reason why I'm butthurt is like, give me enough information right now from the get go to make a informed decision on whether I want to deal with your bullshit. Because as you know, through me and in the past, I have a tendency to be Captain Save a Hole, and I am getting out of that. Oh well, with just enough. I'm tired of looking at people's potential at 51 years old. If you
education.
haven't figured out that potential yourself, it's not for me to help you.
Reggie can't save a hoe, by the way. Um,
I can't I can't save you hoes no more. I can't.
don't save them. They don't want to be
I,
saved. Let
I
me
can't
get
say I can't save myself, let alone you.
and I don't want to get too deep into this before we get back on topic because this is an interesting topic to me. But it's like I'm amazed at the conversations that I have with women and at our age or in our age range, and I keep telling them, "Yo, y'all too old to be looking at these dudes potential." It's like you got to evaluate him for what he has right now. I don't care if he's suffering a bad patch when you met him. Tell him to hit you up after the bad patch is passed. Evaluate him right now. This ain't the 20s where it's like
Hmm.
he's in law school or he's got a dream. That dude wants to be a rapper.
But the
You can't be the 40-year-old rapper. You gotta look at what he's doing right now.
yeah, don't do that,
And if that,
Kanye. He's on the fries right now, but he got ambition.
right, right,
He's
right.
gonna leave you a white
Get,
girl.
right. Get that ambition, baby. Yeah. But going back to the topic, I guess it's like in phases. When I first meet you, I want to know how you would treat me. How would you treat the man that you are trying to be with? That's initially what I want to know. Once into
Actually, you know what? Actually, we went back to the list thing, and I was a little bit esoteric about my list. But number one on my list is what you sat there and just said. How will you actually treat me?
yeah, yeah. Trying to find out, are we compatible? That's what I want to know from those early conversations. So I don't need you to tell me that you've been raped. And I don't need to hear your credit score then. And then you brought up, Reggie, a point
I
before
need to
we
hear
talk.
credit score.
I don't know, the credit score thing just bothers me. And then
Apparently so.
you brought up something, Reggie, going into before we actually got on mic, when you said the next level is once you declare, okay, we're a couple, which gets kind of muddy because women, and I'm not butthurt, but I'll say this. It seems like a lot of women that I know are afraid to ask a man about going together or being in a relationship. Are we man and woman and stuff like that? Because a lot of women feel like that'll drive a dude away, and a dude should take the initiative and declare that. But if you want to be with a dude and you scared to ask the dude, then that's gonna lead to more trouble.
Or
Because
vice versa. I mean, my thing is, sometimes there's women out there that sit there and they lead the man on thinking that he's in a relationship and she got eyes for somebody else.
yeah, it can definitely go both ways. Like while they're weighing their options, and that's the thing where it gets muddy. To your point, it's like and men do it too, women do it, but it's like you do all of the couple things. Like you going out on dates, you holding hands, you obviously having sex, but doing like those like cuddly romantic BS type things, things that couples do,
Things
except
that things that couples do in a committed relationship. Yep.
except you're not a couple officially. So yeah, women, y'all better start
Well,
speaking your minds. If y'all want these dudes, you better like ask them what y'all are. Shoot.
or vice versa. I mean, like I said, it goes both ways on this one.
Well,
So,
well, well,
and I
well,
mean, more women get hurt than men, but men get hurt too.
yeah, I
I got
will
out of
say,
YouTube.
I will say this though. When I am the last couple of relationships that I've been in, I have like actually said, "Hey, let's have this conversation," and the women have been like, "Really?" It's like, yeah, it's like, okay, well, like, how do you expect this to work? We just like by osmosis or something? No, and it's like
Yeah,
th-
you're supposed
they've
to read
been,
my mind.
yeah, they've been shocked that I'm
Ooh.
just like, yo, what are we doing here? And it's like that conversation like surprises them, but
I was I would say this. I would say this. If that L word is thrown out, regardless of if it's real or not, quote unquote, all that
you say,
if it's really love, a conversation need to be had
well,
from that
well,
point on.
well, hold up a second, hold up a second. Nobody say anything about love.
Hey
I'm saying,
man,
I'm,
like I
I'm
said,
talking.
dude, I look at a lot of YouTube videos.
Boyfriend girlfriend is just And when I have the conversation with them, it's just a matter of having a commitment conversation with them. It's like, yo, okay, are we dating each other exclusively? Are we having sex with other people? That's it. Love is a whole nother step. But
Like I said, I look at a lot of videos and they not as clear cut and trust me, because I'm like you, but they're not as clear cut as you. And some people would sit there and say, well, when I said I love you, that should mean all the other stuff is assumed. No.
oh, I see what you're saying.
No.
Yeah, yeah. Regardless of what label you put on it, you have to establish what it means. And I
Yes.
think that's part of the reason for the confusion from the women's part when I bring it up is because when I'm talking about, yo, we're committed. Um, it's like you're not dating anyone. Um, we're only sleeping with each other. That's like defining what putting a label on it and defining what that label means. And I think
Yes.
there should be an explanation, a conversation that's had when it comes to what the next step is in this love. And when I've mentioned it to women in the past, they've been like, it's almost like they took it as, are we in love? And it's like, no, that's not what we're
No.
saying. I just want to know if I see you at Taco Palace or whatever with another dude, or how would I feel if you see me there with another chick? It's like, how would you feel? Just to eliminate the confusion, and especially I live in Atlanta where AIDS is rampant amongst Black women. It's like if you sleeping with other dudes, let me know
You
that.
need to let me know. You
Yeah,
gotta let me know.
yeah, we're having that conversation that we're going
We're
to
having
treat
that
each other in
conversation.
that way. And then
Yeah.
we can focus on building from there. And that leads to that second phase where I'm talking about at the point that you tell somebody your stuff. At that
Because my
commitment
thing is,
point, then you can find out a little bit more. It's like if you have some kind of like STD or something, I'd probably like to know that before we sleep together. Um,
probably.
yeah, yeah. For me, as far as the love thing goes, which I guess will be the next phase, and I think of the love thing coming along when it's time to get engaged or something like that. And that's when we need to have the conversations. Like you can tell me the rape conversation after we've committed. Um, and then after we declare love for each other, then we can have the financial conversations and things like that. But there are phases and there are certain things I would want to know at each phase. And now, then the question would be, are you obligated to tell me, or is it one of those deals where, well, you ain't asked, so I ain't tell you? That's where it gets kind of weird too.
Like I said, you are a little bit more. Uh, you have your categories are a little cleaner than a lot of people I know. Because you have section of commitment, then love, blah blah. And like I said, as like watch a lot of YouTube and other personal things from other people. Most of the time, they don't have that in between gray area of okay, we're committed and then we're gonna work for love. Usually, it works backwards if the committed thing is even stated at all. The minute that L word comes out of someone's mouth, most people assume you now being exclusive. I mean, not even most people assume. Everyone assumes you're exclusive at that point. Some people may do it as soon as you have sex more than 2 or 3 times. Like I said, those at a certain time, communications of what the intentions of the relationship's going to be needs to be had. And there's a lot, me being married now, but when I was out there doing all kinds of crazy things, like I said there and told you before, um, dating versus me just, hey, let's hook up. you know, there were clear boundaries on my side. I'm not looking for a committed relationship that means that I'm sacrificing everything else for you. Now, if you still want to hang out with me and try to quote unquote convince me that you're the right one and blah blah blah, I'm not going to turn you down. But this is what is on the table.
And did
Now, granted,
you define those things for her?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. There. I have clear boundaries not to make sure. And granted, that rule changed throughout the years before I got married because if there was, I loosened the rules before I got married because it was like I was just shooting down too many women. Like, no, I'm not interested in you. Bye. And just go. Versus You're a grown ass woman. If I give you enough information and you stay, I'm not guilty. I'm not culpable for any actions or any emotions that may happen. It's not necessarily the cleanest thing for your spirit growing up, but at the same time, it was not. I did not lie. I did. This is what it is. You're an adult. You have enough information to make the choice that you need to make. If you still want to hang out, that's cool. You don't, that's cool.
That's a tough one, and I hate to do the men versus women thing, but it seems like in women's cases more so than men's, it's like a guy will say, "This is all that it is," and a woman will find a way to kind of make excuses for it. It's like, "Well, he said this," and I tell my female friends this all the time. It's like, "Well, he said he didn't want a relationship with me, but what he really meant was," and it's like you're trying to think for him and like put words in his mouth or things like that. When it's like, no, he said what he meant, and that's what you should take from that.
And men do it too. Men do it too.
Yeah,
They
and
when they want what they want, so they hear what they want to hear.
yeah, but it seems like women do more of that.
Oh, they do, because once most of the time women aren't necessarily as clearly defined that this is what this is, because they have that whole I don't want to hurt their feelings thing, so they just string the guy along. So, yeah.
Yeah, what it's funny because what women will do is, and this goes into the whole ghosting principles and stuff like that, where it's like you know a dude is feeling you. This dude is spending money on you, spending time on you. You know you don't feel him that way, and not only do you know you're not feeling him that way, you know that there's a good chance that you'll never feel him that way. You've put him firmly in the friend zone, but yet and still you'll still be like, well, no. I, it's like because you thought, well, we'll never be together. Like he just read your mind and he's still doing these things despite you saying, oh, no, he knows that we're just friends. Like, no, he does not. You did not
No,
articulate
he
that
does
to
not.
him and you are using him. At a certain point,
Yes.
it turns into like something that's like kind of mean, actually. It's
No,
like,
it's freaking evil, which is another reason why I'm butthurt, because going through all these things, it's freaking evil. It's like going back to what we said before. Not you doing all the couple things,
mhm,
except technically in your mind you're not a couple, but the other person doesn't know that.
right. Right. And boy, there is nothing worse than boy just watching some of these people be led around like puppy dogs. Like one day I'll catch her right. One day she'll she'll break up with the bad boy that she's with and she'll see me for me. See, that's one thing. In all of my years, the one thing that I've never been cool with is that friend zone thing.
No,
It's like I am proud to say that I talk about how I've been rejected. I've talked about all kinds of stuff. Nah, I don't do the friend zone. Never have, never will. I've Women have tried to put me in that, and I'm like, nah, I wasn't built for that. And so,
actually, I've done the friend zone thing with a twist.
okay,
I never, I stayed in the friend zone. I did all these other things, but I was still dating. So it wasn't like I was just sitting there like a lapdog puppy dog. Now, friend zone mentality did not necessarily help some of the other women that I was dating, because it was a block that I would not allow the other woman to come in, which is very unfair. But at the same time, I did not necessarily, I still had my fun. So it was very selfish as hell.
yeah. I have a friend who said that he likes being put in the friend zone because even if usually if he likes a woman and she doesn't necessarily reciprocate, he'll be in a friend zone and that's a way for him to meet her friends and maybe he can catch her with one of them. And I'm like, okay, that's something, but I've also seen that backfire because I've seen cases where dudes have been put in a friend zone, and when the dude has tried to get at one of the friends, all of a sudden she acts all protective like they're a couple.
Yes,
Like she
yes.
doesn't
I
want
was
him,
gonna
but she
bring
don't
that
want
up.
anybody else to have him.
I brought yeah, I've seen that many times. It actually happened to me a couple of times. It's like then, but that's when the whole going back to another podcast, the fighting thing comes and say, no. You're not getting it both ways. You didn't want me here. Therefore, she wants me, you don't. Kick bricks.
Yeah. And and I guess it speaks to I'm of the two of us, I'm the more sensitive of the two. But I know myself, I cannot like someone and then scale that back to the point where I'm the dude they call when they got a date lined up with another dude. It's like, hold up, hold up. So you don't want to be with me, but you want to be with that dude, and then you want to talk to me about that dude? Nah, I
Okay,
I, I can't
I
get
didn't
down
like
like that.
mine. No, no, no. Mine went no, no, no. My friend zones were never like that. I never had that whole with counseling you to get with some other dude when I'm pining for you. That's not my friend zone. My actually my first real girlfriend. I got her in high school, which is how I got her in high school because I was friend zoned by the girl I really wanted, and I started dating her friend, and all of a sudden she got mad and she decided to date my friend, and I was like, I don't care. I actually do like this chick, so. So yeah, it kind of cool.
Yeah, I and
Kind
that
of messed that up though. That's a whole different reason.
well, and that is why, for me myself, I can't be friends that women that I'm attracted to. Now, that's not to say I can't be friends with women that are attractive. Just to me, I don't see them as almost don't see them as women. Um, and yeah,
You see
so
it as aliens?
no, I don't know. I don't know. It's like if you're a friend of mine and you're a female, I just can't imagine I just can't imagine if you pulled your pants down and I didn't see a dick. I just can't. I just put you in a different category. If you're a friend of mine, it's like you're a woman. You act like a woman. That's definitely the case. But yeah, beyond acting like a woman, I just don't see you as such. I mean, yeah, and that works out best for me because that way, if I'm not attracted to you, date to your heart's content. Tell me all your stories about how you slept with all these dudes and did all these things. Cool. I don't have anything with it. Shoot. But if I'm attracted to you, it's like I'm gonna be like, shoot, I want to hit. And I don't know how to manage that relationship when
Actually, I'm
I'm
sitting
with
here.
somebody that I want to hit.
I'm going through scenarios in my mind, and because your lines are very clean. Mine is like mine is like a drunken sailor in a tractor.
And this is why we have a podcast to go over those clean.
Because I'm not gonna put all my business in the street because my wife actually does listen to the podcast. Well,
Hey,
actually, she no,
Ricky,
actually she knows about most of this stuff. But
go ahead.
um, there's been friends I was attracted to that I hit, but they were hitting. They were dating other guys that we talked about. But I guess to me, there were levels of attraction of how much I would actually put in the work for that particular person. I guess. Yeah, I actually had levels of attraction. I guess when it came to the friend zone, it's like, yeah, I would like to be your boyfriend, but I don't. But we can still smash, right? And then this other one's on the top of the level where if I see you even thinking about another guy, I'm like, no, I can't deal with. I'm too jealous and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm like you. Then there's no friend zone. I don't want nothing to do with it, nothing at all.
Yeah,
So unless of course you still want to smash, I'm gonna I
no,
oblige you on that.
no, that's cool. We got a minute and a half, and I'll say that. Yeah, I just if you find I'm I I'm always going to be looking like shoot. You find- I just can't see my friend like walking down the hallway to go to my bathroom, and I'm looking at her ass as she walks by. That's my friend, and I just can't put that. Yeah. In closing,
I
yeah,
have no problems.
in the minute that we have left, I'll start
My
by,
final words is
by saying, yeah, there are the different phases where you want to know certain things. There's always a line that you can cross, especially as a man. If I'm talking to a woman, if I tell too much, I know that I'm getting no pussy from that. And I think vice versa. Shoot, women have told me things, and I thought as soon as I heard, I was like, "There's no way I'm ever gonna speak to this woman again." And so that's my thing on it. You got anything to close?
no, like I said, I agree with you on that. There's levels. But going back, I'm still harping on that one part where you sit there and said the guy say he had commitment issues from the get go. I'm like, nah, don't tell me that from the get go. Because at 51, I don't need to see your potential. Go to your therapist more than twice a week.
And in the last 10 seconds, I just want to say this real to point to something that you said real quick that if it's baggage, mental baggage that you're carrying forward from an act that was back in the day, that's the kind of stuff that you do need to eventually bring up, regardless of what the act was.
Correct.
Was something that would be
Correct.
good or bad. Datingwhileadulting.com. Goodbye.
Goodbye.